All right, looks like I am live here on YouTube, and I'm going to go ahead and start my podcast, and we'll see if some people join us while I'm live, which would be pretty cool. Usually a few people do. All right, let's go. Three, two, one. All right, welcome back to the Seven Generation Podcast. This is Dr. B. I'm back with an all new episode today. When I started Seven Generation Podcast some 4 years ago now, 5 years ago, it's been a while. I would release a couple episodes here and there on just some life rules. I think I just titled them Life Rules, and I have to go back and check. But yeah, so I haven't released a life rule episode in a while, and I thought this would be a perfect time to do so, considering I've really been doing a lot of reflecting lately, just about my own personal life and just things that have been going on. I sustained an injury, kind of sort of sustained an injury, but not really. And I'll try to explain what I'm talking about here. But anyway, I've been kind of dealing with some back issues off and on for a few months now, and then I went to the gym. I was teaching a technique. I was doing an arm drag to a double leg, and I just felt my back just really tighten up, kind of go into some spasms. Nothing that was too unusual, but I definitely did not feel right. And I was trying to get into my chiropractor. I couldn't get into my chiropractor because they were out of town. And then I was just trying to walk. I'm the kind of person, if I can't do what I typically do, let's just say I can't train jiu-jitsu because I'm dealing with an injury. Typically, lately, it's been my back. I'll do something. I'll do anything that I can do. And so I just started doing a lot of walking. And I ended up, I think that day, I had bought an Apple Watch just to be able to track some things a little easier. And then later that night, I had come home and I just started feeling this really horrible pain in my back, and it started affecting my leg, and then it went into my foot, and then my whole entire leg. This happened within like probably, I would say, about 30 seconds, where my leg just went completely numb and I couldn't walk, and I was in excruciating pain. Uh, on a scale from 1 to 10, it was a 10. I mean, I had never felt pain like this before. I have dealt with back pain. I've had shoulder injury, torn meniscus in both knees. I have been laid up because of a few injuries from jiu-jitsu. I have a lot of wear and tear on my body, most definitely. And it stems from training, obviously, and definitely trying to get after it in the gym, just really just living life. And I've always been very active. Ever since I was a kid, I was always involved in sports, always really, just really physical, whether it was playing basketball, baseball, football, whatever. Even as an adult, I wrestled in elementary school and high school. And then I started jujitsu in my early 30s and just needed something. And I saw jujitsu years ago when I first watched Hoist Gracie and UFC 1. I was hooked. I was like, I want to do that. I don't know what it is. I don't know what you call that, but it's cool. And eventually, some years later, I was able to start my jiu-jitsu journey. But I've had a ton of injuries. I mean, so many different injuries. And most people probably would have just quit. But I love training. I was just talking to somebody over the weekend who is a brown belt in jiu-jitsu at another gym. And we were talking about injuries. She was telling me that it's like, why do we do this? And I'm like, man, I feel like I'm addicted to the pain. But And I think you do kind of get addicted to the soreness, and you just kind of get used to it. Your body adjusts. But I have some wear and tear in my body, and been dealing with this back injury. Uh, or I shouldn't say a back injury, just having a bad back. And anyway, it's turned into pretty severe nerve pain to the point where I couldn't walk, and it was definitely kind of scary. And this happened about 4 weeks ago, and it really forced me to sit down and not do anything. And I just really had to kind of sit and kind of evaluate where I'm at, not just physically, but also mentally as well. Because I think, when it comes to injuries and it comes to pushing yourself, and I had to really think about it. And it wasn't just jujitsu, it's just my whole lifestyle. I have a full time job and I run the business on top of that. And also have other hobbies. I have family, community work that I'm involved in. I do a lot of traveling, and it's a lot. And I've wondered over the last 4 weeks, just reflecting on it, how I've been able to keep up all these. And I've done this for years. I've been doing a lot of this stuff for years. The gym is 7 years now, and I've just been going hard for the last 7 years. It takes a lot to build a business up. I had $400, and I was able to take that $400 and turn it into what the business is today. And it's a very successful business, and just so happy with what I've been able to accomplish with it with $400. And I reflect on that. It's just pretty amazing, pretty incredible, that journey to here. But it's also comes at a cost as well, because that time when I started the business, I wasn't in the best financial situation, and businesses take time. And then, of course, COVID hit, and I thought for a while I was going to have to shut the business down. And I just got really lucky, and I was able to keep the business open. I stuck with it, losing money, not being able to, come up with the rent, but then finding a way to do it. I mean, there's just a lot of stress, a lot of stress involved just in that part of my life. But then I have my full time teaching job, and I'm a college professor, and I try to get involved, and do a lot of community work. And then, of course, I have other hobbies as well, my motorcycle club. So, man, I just get after it. And then the last 2 years, I started doing stuff on social media. And I started with the podcast, and the podcast transitioned into some video content, and then eventually I got on TikTok, and I was able to gain a following on TikTok. I have over 100,000 followers on TikTok as it stands today. I just crossed over 110,000 followers on TikTok, so that's pretty good, right? I think it's pretty good. And this, think of myself as kind of a simple person, but somehow, some way, been able to accomplish some things that I'm very proud of. But I never really took the time to kind of sit back and kind of just, I guess, do some reflecting on what I've been able to do, and just be happy and proud of what has become of my life, I guess, and some of the things that I've tried to do, and how successful those things have been. But that's not really what the podcast is about today. The podcast is about not being able to pour from an empty cup. I got some water right here. It's not empty. Take a drink. Been trying to keep myself hydrated. So that's something that I have learned, a big lesson, I think, in dealing with this injury here. And in previous injuries I've had, it's always been pretty simple. Like, okay, I tore my meniscus. That's the last major injury, jujitsu injury I had. I tore my meniscus, and I didn't get surgery. They said I would need surgery. I went to my chiropractor, went to Dr. Pete. He's no longer here in California, lives in Memphis or somewhere in Tennessee. Anyway, shout out to Dr. Pete, one of the greatest human beings I've ever met in my life. Anyway, he put me back together, got me back on the mat. He promised me, he's like, I'll get you back on the mat. I'm going to get you back. And he did. He got me back on the mat. A lot of hard work, but got there. And then let's see, that was my last major injury. But then last year I had a surgery, and so I had some health issues, and I had been dealing with those for probably about 9 months before my surgery, trying to train through it and trying to just work my way around it and just not stopping, just continuing to push, continuing to go. Then I had my surgery, and then I just rushed back to the gym, rushed back into my regular routine. I was back on my feet way too fast, way too fast, and I just didn't slow down. I didn't really learn my lesson there, and just didn't have time. I just, have responsibilities to the gym, and as your business grows, have more responsibilities. And of course, I have my daily responsibilities, my family responsibilities, and it's a lot. And I just continued to push myself, not thinking about what the potential consequences could be. And I knew I kind of felt as though I I wasn't in the best of shape. Probably like after my surgery, just being honest with myself, and I want to be honest because this is something that I think everybody can learn from this. If you're listening to this, I don't care who you are, but if you're the kind of person who is driven and does a lot with your time, you should just take some time to listen to what I'm saying, because this is really important. And I wish somebody kind of had sat me down and really talked to me about this. And through just my own self reflection this last month, I've just really figured out that, I was just giving too much of my time, too much of my goodwill in some cases, and not really thinking about my own well being. And that's why I'm going to title this episode, "You Can't Pour from an Empty Cup." Because I just think I was giving and giving and giving and giving and not really thinking about myself. And really, that's what that saying means, is you have to take care of yourself. If you're not taking care of yourself, it's going to be hard to give to others. Dave and I were talking about the other day when he was on the podcast, but I really had to learn that lesson this last month, because I have been in a situation where there's no way I could train. Even right now, I'm slowly improving, getting better. I've been going and doing a lot of physical therapy, and I am doing everything to get myself right. But there was other areas that I had to realize that weren't right. It just wasn't me physically. I think what was going on was I was pushing myself, and I knew I wasn't right. And this is the thing, you have to listen to your body. This is the best advice I give somebody who's just driven to accomplish their goals. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you're somebody who's a goal setter and you want to get after it, get after it. But you also have to realize there's limits. We have limits, and we live in this culture where we're always telling people, push through the pain, and who cares about whether or not you're tired or you're wore out. And I agree with that to a certain extent, but there's only so much that we can take on. And I think all of us, no matter who we are going to have some kind of limit. And I think that I was up to my limit, and I just didn't want to recognize that for whatever reason. I didn't want to recognize it. We'll stop with the intro music, which I really like, by the way. But yeah, we all have limits, and I just don't think I sat myself down and said, "Hey, man, you need to start thinking about your own well being, your own health, not just physically, but also emotionally as well. My spiritual health, my spiritual well being." And it wasn't something that I wasn't taking the time to think about. Partly because I was just constantly giving to the gym, to the various projects that I was taking on at work. Um, of course, I'm a professor, so I always want to give the best that I could give to my students, and I really see myself as somebody who has something to offer. And I had people just shed light on things that just opened my world up to so many opportunities that I've been able to capitalize on to improve my life. And I just wanted to be that kind of person, to bring light into people's lives. And but at the same time, you can take on too much, and I've always done that to myself, I think, to a certain extent. But I think this last year and a half or so, I was definitely kind of wearing out a little bit. And then when I had a chance maybe to slow down, I just jumped right back into just staying busy. And I had some things I needed to get done, some things I needed to complete. And I felt like, man, I have to push through whatever it is I was feeling. Not a good idea. Just wasn't a good idea. And so this injury has kind of taught me that, I need to let go a little bit and uh, realize that there's other things that are more important than just serving others, like my well-being, my physical, psychological, and spiritual well-being. If I'm not physically, spiritually okay, then I'm no good to others. And I have a family that loves me and cares about me, wants me to be okay, and I have other responsibilities, but at the same time, I have to consider like what's really good for me. And that was something that I've really been thinking a lot about, I guess. And it's a rule, a life rule that I've had to learn the hard way. But I have been feeling, and I can tell you this, like, I knew physically I wasn't okay. Had been feeling not myself for a while. Not just, like I said, since I had my surgery and I just kind of hit the pavement running and I wasn't even 100% yet. And then I could tell it just wasn't, I needed to back off, but I had to get things done. Things have to get done when you take on responsibilities, especially a business. You can't just like decide, oh, I don't want to, take on these responsibilities any longer. And so I just kept pushing it, but I knew, just kind of could feel. It's so interesting because if I just listen to my body, and that's something that I'm going to do from here on out, because I could feel myself just kind of slowly, kind of going downhill. My energy levels were really low, and I guess we can just kind of go through some of the signs of, man, you're just doing too much. Is just I was tired. I was really tired all the time. Wasn't sleeping very well. And also this last year, I probably caught more colds in this last year than I could remember. During COVID, I never got sick. I wasn't sick for a couple of years, not a cold, not nothing. And this last year, my immune system just took a major, major hit. And of course, just kept on going, even though I wasn't well physically at times. And then my immune system just definitely wasn't where it once was. And so lack of energy, the fatigue, just my immune system taking a hit. And then it just noticed I was feeling definitely a little bit overwhelmed at times. But whenever I have felt overwhelmed, I've always just kind of pushed through. But then around the first of the year, I kept telling myself, like, man, you need to, I was telling myself I needed to, take better care of myself, set better boundaries with people and whatnot. Uh, because I had noticed that my production, just my general production, was decreasing, and I wasn't quite as focused. So those there were all these different signs, and it's very humbling, super humbling to admit all this, especially to anybody can listen to this. But yeah, super humbling, and I've always just pushed through everything, muscled through everything. And then there's also a lot of things that happened through the last year as well, just in, little things, being one thing about being a gym owner. And I didn't start it to have like some full-fledged business and to make a bunch of money. And I already have a good job, have a beautiful life. The gym is just because I love jujitsu. And it was another way for me to share with others. It was another way for me to bring light to people's lives. That's why I wanted to do the gym. I want to do the gym because, oh, I thought I want to build some jujitsu empire and I want to be, this jujitsu professor and whatnot. I don't even, I've had people try to call me professor. I'm a college professor. I have a PhD. Very proud of that. Yes, I am a college professor, but I don't even I call myself a coach. I'm a jujitsu coach. I don't even like using that term professor or master. I've been training for, yes, a long time. I have a lot of jujitsu knowledge, no doubt about it. I'm not going to try to downplay what I know. But at the same time, I didn't want to do this for financial reasons. I didn't want to do this for anything other than just the love of training and knowing just how amazing jujitsu is and what people can get from training. It doesn't have to be jujitsu. It can be any other martial arts, but jujitsu has really been been a blessing for me, and it's done wonders for me. But jujitsu and being a gym owner, training that is, and being a practitioner are two separate things. And so when you're a gym owner, you're serving others. Just like at my job, working in the community, you're serving others. So again, another way to serve other people. And previously, before I had the gym, jujitsu was always just a place for me to go to de-stress and to be able to get in shape and stay in shape and deal with my stress and so on. But when you are a business owner, you have other stressors, you have um, people that walk through your door that sometimes aren't very pleasant, dealing with a lot of different personalities. Some of these personalities get along wonderfully. It's pretty incredible to see people come together and become really close friends and develop these really intimate relationships. And at the same time, you have people who clash for whatever reason, and then you have to be a leader in that type of environment. And I've always tried really hard to keep the gym the way that I always envisioned it to be, which is just a healthy place to train and to you know get rid of any kind of situation that wasn't very healthy. But at the same time, when you're running a business, you have to make hard decisions, and some of those decisions that you make, your members may not even understand. They may not even get uh, the all the information because they don't need to get all the information because they don't own the gym. So, you know, there's been some situations that have come up, and I know, things have gotten back to me how people aren't happy about this for this or that and the other. And those things are just situations that you are going to have to deal with from time to time. And I'm lucky because I haven't really had anything too crazy. I've heard just horror stories about things that have come up at gyms. And I feel like my gym has been, man, just a great experience. But there has been things that have come up and it has strained relationships that I had previously with others that uh, unfortunately those relationships aren't nearly as strong. And yeah, there's just been some things that unfortunately just haven't been good. It happens. And I always have felt like I've done the best I could do in all the situations that have come my way, the best that I can do. But no matter what you do, no matter what decisions you make, there's always going to be people who are going to be happy with it, people who like it, some people who don't give a shit. There's people that come to the gym and they just come to train, they go home. That's all they do. And I love those kind of students. But there's people who want to put their nose into everything, unfortunately, and have an opinion about stuff. And it's just personalities here or there that are gonna probably come up in really kind of any kind of situations, not just being a gym owner. So that's something that uh, anybody who's dealing with a lot of people, they have to just remember that there's going to be some people who want to stick their nose into it, or some people who think they can do better than they can do it better than you, or that your decision making sucks, or whatever. And I've always dealt with that stuff pretty well, I feel like. But there's been some relationships that have been strained, unfortunately, and it's always disappointing when, for me, when things don't, go as well as is I would have liked them to go. But there's always chances to learn too. For me to learn how to become a better gym owner, to become a better person, become a better human being, and I take it with a grain of salt what people say or people's feelings or whatever about maybe a decision I made or whatever it is that they think. But it's that part of it has always been um, really interesting. It's just been an interesting part of the journey, I guess. But it's never been a deterrent for me from wanting to continue to do it. But what I think has happened over the last 7 years is that just me constantly on the go, me constantly working to provide for other people, providing for my family, providing a safe environment for my family, taking care of my family, and then doing community work, then also building up this jujitsu community as well. Is that you can continue to do for others to the point to where maybe you just don't have anything to give. And I think that's where I was at, where I just didn't have much more to give physically, emotionally. And there had been some other situations, in my personal life as well that were difficult. And then of course, my body just slowly, I could feel my body slowly just starting to not feel right. The signs were there. And it's real. Stress is very, very real. And I didn't even realize I was dealing with all this stress. I just kept, this is kind of how I've always done things, just keep pushing. If I have a problem, I just try to find a way to solve the problem and don't really spend too much time thinking about how maybe these things affect me. And I haven't really done that enough. Like sit back and maybe, hey man, you need to take care of yourself too. You're taking care of other people. You're working so hard for others so that other people can have enjoyment, whether it's at the gym or it's at events that I put together or whatever. And I think that a big lesson in this for me has been, man, I need to focus on taking care of myself. I've been doing this for decades now, literally for a couple of decades. Been doing this, man, going back to the 1990s. So longer than a lot of people have been alive. And then of course the jujitsu part of it is just another element that I've added to my life. And I've started to really think because jujitsu was always my escape. It was always the place for me to be able to de-stress. And then now that part of it isn't really the same any longer because being a gym owner, you can't just go to the gym and hang out, do your class, laugh with your training partners, have a good time, go home. There's a bunch of other things you got to do to keep that gym running. And I always tell people when it comes to business, something I've learned too about business, you can never let your guard down. You can never just like think everything's cool, everything's fine because things change. Things are constantly uh, changing, evolving in the world of business. And, those are uh, just things I wasn't really prepared for. Because all I really wanted was just to continue to train and share jujitsu with people. And if all it was, I'd just be able to go to the gym and teach and come home. Man, it would be fun. It would be easy. But there's other parts of it. There's other things that you have to to consider, situations that come up, whether it's personality conflicts or just, the general grind of running a real business. And it's easy if you're just training out of your garage and you're just having a couple of friends come over a couple times a week. Well, yeah, then that's fun, but that's not what this is. And so I haven't really had much to in my life recently just to be able to take care of me and just be able to spend some time, whether it was just de-stressing. Some people call it self-care. I might just call it just maintaining your spiritual well-being, I guess. So anyway, so these are things I've just been thinking a lot about partly because I've been forced to because I have this injury and I am getting better. I'm improving every single day. I'm not 100%. I'm not close to 100%, but I'm getting there. But it's taken some work. I've had to put in a lot of work in the last 4 weeks. And part of the work I've been doing, and just want to share this too, is just sleeping better, getting good rest. I have forced myself, I pulled myself out of this rat race that I've kind of put myself in. Again, I did it to myself. Nobody's forced me to do the things that I've done. It's just stuff that I've taken on. But I've forced myself to get good sleep, and I wasn't getting good rest. I just wake up in the morning and go. And just let me just give you an idea of my schedule, what I would do. So, wake up early in the morning, 5:30, sometimes 5, 6, maybe the latest. I can't sleep in. I wish I could sleep in, but I can't. So I wake up, man, just hit the pavement running, go to my regular job and do the things that I have to do as a college professor, come home, try to get something to eat, hit the gym, and then I'm at the gym, anywhere from, sometimes, on a slow day, 3 hours to maybe 5, 6 hours. Sometimes getting home at 10:30 at night. So going literally from 6 o'clock in the morning or leaving the house at 7 and then just going all day long, maybe not getting home until 10 and day after day, every, Monday through Friday, sometimes Saturdays. I started taking Saturday off from the gym. I used to really love going to open mat. Open mats was one of my favorite days. You just go in there and just people get to train, you get to help people out. But I really started to at least take that day off. I was trained sometimes 6 days a week, and then of course being at the gym 6 days a week. Uh, Probably not a good idea for anybody to do that, but I was doing that. I did that for quite a few years, and I started to back off on Saturdays. But then, of course, on the weekends, I mean, I work. People think college professors we don't do anything. That we get paid all this money just to lecture. Well, that's not true. There's a lot that goes into it, and of course, I take my job very seriously, and I really, really, really try to challenge myself to continue to learn. I see myself as a lifelong learner. I'm always out there trying to grow my knowledge base, and not just with what I teach, but also in jujitsu as well. I'm always studying jujitsu, and I just never stop. I mean, literally, I just never stop. And if I find would tell myself when I'd find myself just stopping, not doing anything, I'd be like, man, you need to do something, even if I was tired. And that's not a good way to live. Just isn't. I realize that now. I really do. So this last month, I had to just really let go, and I had to pass on some responsibilities to family members, which has been nothing but a good thing. And I'm not the kind of person, by the way. There's some people out there who won't let other people help. I'm the kind of person I will let other people help. My thing is if you're going to help, if somebody genuinely wants to help, then cool. I'm all about it. And one thing I tried to let my students know is that it's always got to be a collective, that the gym is a collective. We're all trying to help each other because you can't get good at jujitsu all by yourself. You need training partners. You need people to help you out with your game, to help you out with your jujitsu. And my job as a gym owner, like I make sure I get the business where it needs to be so that way people can come in and get better at jujitsu. That's not the only reason why people train, by the way. It's not just to get better. Sometimes it's to lose weight, to develop friendships, have a hobby, a healthy outlet. And it's my job to make sure that people can have that. And if people want to help me, I'm more than okay in accepting help. But one thing I've noticed is that sometimes people don't want to help What they want to do is feed their ego. And I've had to deal with some situations like that, unfortunately. And I've always, uh, been very leery at times of, people's motivations because of that, just because of personal experiences. And, if you, to me, if you want to help me out, you want to help the gym, then that's great. But if it's about the person, about the individual, if the individual is doing it uh, to stroke their own ego, um, then I would rather not have that kind of help because that's not help. But I've had people come to me, especially like people like Kill. Uh, Man, he's like made it clear to me, like, hey, man, if you need something, just let me know. If you need me to do something for you at the gym, and there's been times where I've been able to call him up, like, hey, man, I can't deal with this right now. Can you deal with it? And he's always made himself available. And man, I just appreciate that kind of help. But unfortunately, like you know, there's been previous situations I've had to deal with where, people, they want to uh, uh, do things that aren't very helpful to me. And I think that's something I'm really going to keep a close eye on moving forward in my life. Like if people want to help out at the gym, fine, but it has to be about the gym, about actually helping the gym function. And people have to take on those commitments. Uh, and it can't just be about the individual and about what they want. It has to be about the gym because that's how the gym is going to be from here on out. That's something that I've really thought a lot about recently, just based on just doing, again, some reflecting because people suck the life out of you. And I've had that happen to me by, there's been a few people have been, that, thankfully they're not around any longer. Just, been, have been very good influences, made things more difficult for me, unfortunately. And I really don't want that any longer in my life, I guess. And I don't really need that. And what I need is for people to believe in the system that we have for the gym, which is we help others. We're there to help each other. And I really want to surround myself with a team of people who believe in that first and foremost and want to help seventh generation jujitsu, want to help build this community, not do something for themselves. That's so uninspiring. It's like the most uninspiring thing in the world are selfish people, people who do things for their own self interest, which is very natural for people to do that. That's how I think most people are in the dominant culture, but that's not what I want at my gym. And it's not the kind of people who inspire me. And I want to surround myself with a team who have a greater purpose and they want to see all of us do better. They want to see our organization, this place that we have, this environment that I've really tried to build in a healthy way, stay that way. Not just so uh, a handful of people can benefit, but so that we can all benefit from it. So anyway, so I've been thinking a lot about that, just, getting the right people. And I do have some amazing people already. I really do. Um, Thankfully. And without those people, the gyms not would not be possible. Um, Nevertheless, at the end of the day, it's my business, and uh, anybody can just walk away from anything that they do at the gym. Anybody who helps out, they could walk away. I can't walk away. I'm the one with the name on the lease, and those responsibilities they definitely um, they weigh heavily on me sometimes. So the life lesson here that I've had to learn, and again, it's been very humbling, is that I have to make sure I'm taking care of myself. And I'm going to start doing that moving forward. and I can't just talk about it. I have to be very proactive. And so I've been doing some things lately to be proactive, but what I'm not going to do is get myself well. And I do believe I'm going to be 100%, whatever I'm dealing with now, I'm going to be able to fix that problem. I'm going to be 100%. And I'm going to do everything to keep myself from going back to where I was, to where I couldn't walk, where I felt literally like I was paralyzed. It was a frightening experience. I can say not just humbling, but it was scary to not be able to walk. And um, yeah, and I've never dealt with anything like this. So I'm on the road to recovery, thankfully, but I know what I need to do moving forward. And I'm really going to try my best to surround myself with people who, first of all, care about me as well, care about me, and develop a squad of people who I can give maybe more responsibility to. People I know I can trust, and people I know who, again, who care about me. And that's part of, I think, what the point of this podcast is as well. You have to surround yourself with people who truly love you and care about your well being. And you have to be careful for people who, will come into your life, especially if you're the kind of person who wants to give, wants to put in work in your community, wants to do something, wants to get out there and do something. Somebody who wants to make a difference and wants to help others. There are people, again, who will suck the life out of you and who will take from you, but don't really care about you. And once they're done getting whatever it is their needs are, they'll move on quickly. And I've always known this, but I've had situations come up in the last couple of years where I've literally seen this like happen. And again, it's not something I didn't know. I've always known that. Unfortunately, there's people like that. But I've always never let that dissuade me from continuing to do the good work in the community to help others. And I want to continue to do that. I want to do that as long as I'm alive. I want to continue to help others and continue to give, but I need to do it in a way that also is in line with this different perspective that I'm trying to develop about myself, taking care of myself as well. And so I've really sought support from, people I know I can trust, and that feels really good. And yeah, I feel much better than I did about a month ago. I've been just, so here's some of the things I've been doing. I've talked a little bit about this in the past, but being mindful. I've been doing a lot of meditation, a lot of deep breathing. Been working on my breathing, and I wake up in the morning now. Instead of my typical routine, which is wake up in the morning and start working on something, I wake up in the morning, I walk outside, I greet the sun, and I just sit and kind of ground myself. Just breathe, practice a little bit of gratitude, and thank the creator for my life and all of the amazing blessings I've been given, because I've been given so many amazing blessings in my life. I just so blessed, and just taking that in, that I have another day here with my family, with my kids and the people that I care about, people that I love. Then I've been doing a lot of breathing exercises as well. I've been doing uh, just like the really slow breathing. And I read a book on breathing a couple of years back, and I've been doing breathing exercises ever since I read that book. I've really started to focus a lot on that. And I think that's, man, it's helped me out so, so, so much. And then, of course, just moving as much as I can. I have, I'm the kind of person I can't. It's hard for me to sit. I have like rested. I've made sure to really, really rest, but I'm doing as much as I can physically. And I think I'm going to start sharing some of the things I've been doing. But yeah, this recovery is very slow though, very, very slow. And I knew it when I hurt myself. I was like, man, I don't know if this is going to be a fast recovery. And when I first started feeling that the pain and where my leg was paralyzed and started going into my other leg, man, it was really kind of scary for a minute there. And I thought, oh, I'm gonna wake up in the morning and be fine. I woke up and it was worse. I'm like, oh my God. But so much better and very positive. Uh, I was in a somewhat of a dark place for, I don't know, a good solid probably about 7, 8 days, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. I can't remember. I know it's all been a blur, but I was kind of in a dark place. I couldn't sleep and I was in pain, like excruciating pain, and I couldn't sleep and I couldn't walk. And so it was just, man, I just was not in a good way. But I'm like so far beyond that and feeling so much better, so much better. But I really do encourage all my listeners to definitely prioritize your well being. Uh, Definitely work on yourself. Take care of yourself. And if you're the kind of person who's a hard worker, if you're the kind of person who's always out there trying to give to others, just know that there is a limit. There's a limit for all of us. And again, for me, it took me a lot of years to find this limit here. And because I've been going at it, I've been, man, I hit the pavement hard and I go just about everything that I've done and very, very driven to accomplish whatever goals that I've set. And I think, I think I did a life rule on this, like smelling the roses, take some time just to take it all in, just be proud of the things that you've done. I haven't done that enough, and I've been doing that more, just being proud of what I've done, like with the gym and even the stuff I've accomplished in the motorcycle club world, and of course my you know my education and the things I've done in the community. So I'm very, very proud of all that. But anyway, at the same time, like tightening, I had mentioned this before, and I've been really working on this a lot, but tightening up my circle and making sure that the people who are, you know, working with me or the people I'm working with uh, have my best interest in mind as well, not just looking out for their own best interest. And like I said, that just doesn't inspire me at all. I'm only interested in working with good people. Have no desire to work with anybody who is a dirtbag or and thankfully I've never really had that experience. I feel like I've worked with, mostly in my life, I've really worked with incredible people. Um, but there's some people that just, unfortunately they um, instead of helping, uh, they're doing things to feed again their own ego, or just simply looking out for their own self interest, but on not on my dime, not anymore anyway. So, but those are really, I guess, the main points of this episode. And again, I'm really thankful for my life and everything that I have accomplished, and just the things that have been good for me and for my family, and been just thinking about this, so much because I've had time to think about it, and I've really um, had the opportunity to sit back and really truly reflect. And I haven't had this time, I don't know, in years. It's just been years. So I'll put my outro music on here. So yeah, that's what's been on my mind lately. I wanted to share that. Hope you all got something from that. If you did, great. Like I said, you could always reach out to me if you ever have any questions. And boy, love all these different blessings I've had in my life. Like I said, super grateful. Super, super grateful. This is Seven Generation Podcast. It's Dr. B. Follow me on Instagram. My Instagram has never done very well. You can follow me on TikTok. By the way, if you ever want to follow me on TikTok, so my TikTok is Merciless Savages. That's my TikTok. And then my IG is 7 Gen Podcast. And so for whatever reason, Instagram doesn't like me. I think I just crossed over 6,000 subscribers on Instagram. And man, I was all super happy about that accomplishment because for whatever reason, Instagram has never really promoted my stuff. TikTok, man, I blew up on TikTok really fast. And then on YouTube, my YouTube subscribers on my Dr. B channel, I think I have over 32,000 subscribers. So, yeah, I, yeah, super, super cool. Anyway, I love sharing just a little bit of my knowledge. I really, really do. And I'll be back real soon. I got a bunch of podcasts that I'm kind of working on and just some stuff that I want to do for YouTube as well. Just got to make sure it fits into some of the changes I plan on making in my life. So, and for those of you out there who are out there grinding, out there putting in that hard work, just remember, take care of yourself. Surround yourself with good people. Surround yourself with people who love you and care about your well-being. And just know that there are people out there who will use you up and spit you out like nothing, and then move on to the next person. So take care of yourself. Prioritize your peace. Somebody said that here on the chat. Prioritize your peace. Take care of your health. Get good sleep. Eat good food. And always be grateful for the little things. Trust me. Gratitude, man. It's a healthy practice, and I've been doing it pretty much every day for the last 3 weeks, just practicing gratitude, hugging the people that I care about. And I have all these people in my life that I just love dearly, and I just making sure I let them know how much I care about them. And I've always been kind of person, been a little bit, reserved and not always wanting to share my feelings about others and just how I care about other people, but I've been really doing that a lot lately, just letting people know how much I care about them, the people who've really been in my corner. And yeah. All right, y'all. Later. All right. So I'm still live on YouTube. Turned off my podcast machine, and looks like my niece was on here. How you doing? I don't know if you're still on here, Emma, but if you are, I hope you're doing well. And somebody said, "Do you practice Gracie style jiu-jitsu?" I practice Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I guess you can call it Gracie jiu-jitsu as well. Good evening to you as well. Do I ever talk about, I would love to talk more about Canada. I just need to kind of tighten up my knowledge on the history there. So if you ever have any recommendations, man, feel free. Says, "What's up, Dr. B? Just tuned in, and man, your words resonate like a blast from the universe." Thank you for saying that. I broke a vertebrae in my back and neck and a construction accident. Oh, man, couldn't sleep for a week. The most pain I ever felt. So that's kind of what I dealt with. I couldn't sleep for about a week, and that's essential for wellness. Physical health, mental well, everything. You got to get good rest. Super grateful, doctor. I know I crowd up your chat, but I'm so glad you don't ghost me. um, yeah, absolutely. Learn to bend like a tree that sways in the wind, or you will break. Oh, that's a good one. I'm gonna remember that one. I like that. It's a good one. Good one, Edith. Edith. Appreciate that. All right, y'all. I'm out of here. It's been about an hour since I've been on. And like I said, never hesitate to reach out if you ever have any questions. Don't forget to follow me on IG or TikTok. My IG, 7 Gen Podcast. My TikTok is Merciless Savages. All right, y'all. Later.